Hello, welcome to CV1 General 2, Unit 54, the news. In this unit, you will learn to count down what somebody gave you using the indirect speech. The objectives for communication in this unit are to inform about the news and to narrate in an indirect speech. The indirect speech is a structure that is used for repeating what somebody has said before. This is the direct style. We are going to compare the difference between the direct and the indirect style. The direct style or direct speech. He said, I don't want to go home yet. In the indirect style or reporter speech, he said that he didn't want to go home yet. In the indirect style, that is optional. If it is included, the register is something more formal than if it is omitted. As far as we can see, the direct speech is what somebody said word by word, literally. And whenever we talk about the indirect speech, we talk about something that anybody else said, but we are going to say it in our own words. We use some verbs like say, ask, tell, etc. They are the reporting verbs. In the past, when we used the indirect speech. The structure of the indirect speech has several changes that can mix up the user. Meanwhile, we have fresh all of the verb tenses and the pronouns. We can use the structure successfully. When reporting something in the indirect speech, we can say that we are talking about a tense beyond the past. We must change the verb tense of the sentence that we are going to report. It is also necessary to change pronouns and verb expressions, time expressions. The following tables, the following charts, will explain how we can manage this change. Here we are, the changes in the tenses, the verb tenses, in the indirect speech. In the direct speech, we use present simple like I enjoy reading comics. In the indirect speech or reporter speech, we say, he said he enjoyed really reading comics. As far as we can see, we are going to use a different pronoun. Here, I am using, here I am using I. In the indirect speech, I am going to say he. Because in the first one, I am saying the words that the other person used. And in this case, in the indirect speech, I am going to explain what he said. Okay, in the next one, present continuous, she's washing the dishes. Past continuous, he said she was washing the dishes. Here we are not going to change the subject because we are talking about anybody else. Simple past, I worked for an art gallery. We change it to past perfect. He said he had worked for an art gallery. In the direct speech, continuous past. He was making dinner. In the indirect speech or reporter speech, we change it to past perfect continues. He said he had been making dinner. In the present perfect, we have watched all those films. In the indirect speech, past perfect, he said they had watched all those films. Future, I'll post those letters. Conditional simple, would. He said he would post those letters. 10. I can't wait any longer. Indirect speech, could. He said he couldn't wait any longer. Direct speech, must. I must take that train. Indirect speech, had to. He said he had to take that train. May. She may lend me some money. Reporter speech, might. He said she might lend him some money. Okay, now we are going to talk about some expressions that changes in the indirect speech. Direct speech, personal pronouns and object. I don't know you, we are late. Indirect speech or reporter speech. She said she didn't know me. He said they were late. Can't you see how they change? I don't know you, for she said she didn't know me. We are late. He said they were late. The possessives. That's not my book. In the reporter speech, he said that wasn't his book. Time expressions and adverbs. Tomorrow, it changes for the next day or the following day. Today, it changes for that day. Yesterday changes for the day before or the previous day. Next week, the following week. Last week, the week before or the previous week. Now, then, at that moment. Here, there, this week, that week. All right, let's go to the next. Okay, now we are going to talk about some requests and imperative in the indirect speech. The structure we are going to use is not plus to plus infinitive. Direct speech. Shut up. Indirect speech. He asked me to shut up. Don't open that window. He ordered them not to open that window. Questions in the indirect speech. When we pass from direct speech to indirect speech, the questions have the order subject plus verb. We have to make the difference between two kinds of questions. The questions with the interrogative word what, who, where, etc. In the direct object, he asked, where are you? In the indirect speech, he asked me where I was. The question whose answer is yes or no, with no interrogative word. Example in the direct speech, she asked Are you okay? Indirect speech. She asked me if or whether I was okay. In this case of questions, we use if or whether for taking the place of the auxiliary in the question. The verb in the sentence must obey the changes of the verb tense in the indirect speech. Thank you for watching this video. We hope it has been useful for you. If you have some more doubts, contact your tutor or your monitor. Don't forget to work with the exercises and activities in the platform. Meet you at the conversation class.